Well, what the heck is going on? Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, and it's the weekend. Do you know where your money is? Well, don't ask your bank, because for the 5 biggest in the country, things got kind of scary. I'm talking real scary. Not just because J.P. Morgan Chase and other big-name institutions were hacked, or that it's possible the Russians were the ones hacking them, but the way they were hacking them and how far they got hacking them. Apparently deep enough to delete and change bank records. I want you to think about that. Think about someone getting into your bank account, maybe zeroing out your bank account. Scary stuff, and it makes you wonder what could be next. On that happy note, let's get right to it. To Ben Stein, Charles Payne, and Jerry Willis, along with Adam Lashinsky and Charlie Gasparino, who conveniently keeps all his money underneath the mattress. Not really, but I think he does. Dagan McDowell is off this week. I want to thank my buddy Charles Payne for filling in. Last week while I was out, but just as a reminder, Charles, it is still Cavuto on business.
A little tweaking, and it won't be hard to change that to Payne.
It's easy to do, yeah. What do you make of this? Because this stood out, not that we always hear these hack attacks, but this one stood out because of how far it progressed.
And how sophisticated.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about J.P. Morgan, also because it was backed, perhaps, more than likely by the Russian government. I think in America we're
Russian Satan yet.
Yeah, I know, of course. But, you know, I think we're taking it way too easily. Well, if I was spirit fishing with him, I would let him go in front of me. But here's the thing. Our electric grid, obviously, is a big target. The oil and gas industry is getting hit all the time. Banks. I think we should take this a lot more seriously. This is not the target hack. You know, this should be the ultimate red flag for us, I think.
Why does it keep happening?
It happens every day.
Yeah.
The attempts occur every day, and it generally comes from 3 sources. And all the banks have been dealing with the State Department on this. It comes from Russia, it comes from the Middle East, it comes from China. Those are the 3 sources. I will say this. You know, here's one of the downsides of having like 5 or 6 major banks out there controlling 70% of the assets. You know, you only have to hack one place to really cause a lot of damage. J.P. Morgan is the biggest bank in the country. It does business with every major corporation, a lot of consumers. I mean, you screw up J.P. Morgan, you are screwing up the U.S. economy. And I will say one other thing. I was speaking with a bank CEO not too long ago. He says he spends 80 to 90% of his time on minutia from Dodd-Frank. I mean, complying with the gazillion different rules that are part of that ridiculous law. And
did this hacking come up in your conversation?
Here's what I'm saying. They're spending a little too much time. Well, before you laugh, Ben, they're spending a little too much time on this, on the Volcker rule, and not enough time on this.
It's interesting that it's sidetracking. What do you make of that, Jerry?
Well, I got to tell you, they try to make us feel better by saying, "Oh, this happens every single day.
Yeah.
We're hacked." That didn't make me feel better.
Hardly consoling. Yeah.
The good news here is that we heard about it pretty quickly. If you remember what happened with Target, we didn't hear about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And of course, the big kahuna is the bank, because with Target, what are they going to steal? They're going to steal the credit card number, maybe your street address. But if it's the bank, as you showed right at the beginning of the show, they're taking money out of your account.
Well, they progressed a little further than prior hackings, and many have argued that, you know, Ben, it's just sort of setting up a practice run or a dry run for something. What do you think?
Well, I think that all those checks and debits made to the Kit Kat Club in Hollywood, California, I've been telling my wife that was Russian hacking. And now it's been known conclusively that it was. And E&J Entertainment and all those other places, that's Russian hacking. No, seriously, it's a very big problem. I don't know what the solution to it is, but surely there is some kid out there in San Jose or Santa Cruz who's got some program that can stop the hacking. I mean, if we pay billions for games that involve crushing little pieces of candy, why can't we have some billions spent for a hacking defense? It's hard to believe that it can't be done.
You know, Adam, actually it's kids who do the hacking and governments do the paying to get them to do the hacking. A lot of times that's the case. How big is this going to be? How worse does this get? And are we just seeing the warm-up act before accounts are zeroed out and all of a sudden everyone's going nuts?
Well, the bad news is it's going to get a lot worse. It's very bad. Businesses and government are taking this very seriously, Neil. To Charlie, I'd say the 3 major sources are China, Russia, and criminals generally, right? Criminals generally. This is a big, big business for them.
China, Russia, the Middle East. Why'd you leave out the Middle East?
Because I think that the sort of criminal element belongs in your list of 3.
Adam, talk to anybody about this. You
know
that terrorism is part of this equation.
Okay. Let me get to the good news. That's the cup half empty, very serious. The good news is for consumers, for bank depositors, for example, your deposits are insured. I mean, this is a bigger problem for J.P. Morgan, way bigger problem than it is for us.
Yeah, Jared, you're shaking your head here, but that's little comfort, right?
Cold comfort. Okay, so go fill out the form, spend a week or two trying to get the attention of the right regulator to give you your money back. How long is that going to take? I want these guys to protect us right now.
Following the financial crisis, we have a huge law called Dodd-Frank. You've showed me, you've brought that on the set, how thick it is. Thousands and thousands of edicts. I bet you cyber attacks and hacking is not part of any of those regulations. These guys are spending a lot of time.
You're throwing a smoke bomb into this conversation,
these guys
my friend.
You talk to bank CEOs. They're spending a lot of time them and their boards are spending a lot of time interpreting the Volcker.
What happened with you and Dodd and you and Frank? I mean, it seems to be some issues.
I actually like Mr. Frank.
He's angry.
And Mr.
He was born angry.
I know both of them. They're very nice people.
But Charles, what do you make of that? That all of a sudden now people are looking at this and saying, you know, I don't think, to Jerry's, we hear this a lot, but I don't think they were aware how close this one got to be nuclear.
I think there's a couple of things going on. First of all, I think, Adam, you know, the idea that don't worry about it, the bank's got you covered. That wasn't that the
no, he didn't say that.
No, the FDIC at some point, you know,
he said the banks have me covered. You guys are screwed.
That was your account, by the way, that we showed at the beginning. Also, it feels like these are dry runs. That all of these are dry runs for something.
What do you mean by dry runs?
See, I believe that. I believe that.
It's you know, sort of reconnaissance, if you will. You go, you see what you can get.
I don't know. I think these are direct.
No, in one case in JP Morgan, I actually looked into this. So you were looking at the Dodd-Frank, young man. I looked into the details of this. In one case, what they did is they got into experiment with how you could make an account disappear, then pulled it back. Experimented again, pulled it back. Experiment again, pulled it back.
That is the essence of hacking, to experiment.
I think so.
Well, talk to Adam. He's the guy out there in Silicon Valley.
Well, that's what worries me, that this is a warm-up act for something.
Well, then why don't we have the Department of Anti-Hacking?
I just want to say that the corporations in particular, Charlie, I also talk to board members and CEOs. Right. Cyberterrorism cybersecurity is at the very top of their list of concerns. They're working hard at this.
Then they got to spend money on it, Adam, because you know what? Their budgets don't say that. They need to spend a lot more money
on compliance officers, not on stopping these attacks. Yeah. That's what they're spending money on.
250 million households.
And Charlie,
250 million households at risk here. That's the number of clients
at risk banking households or JP Morgan.
JP Morgan Chase customers. So you got to think a lot of people have
$2 trillion in deposits.
Yeah, so
that's insane.
The FDIC's got you covered.
Yes.
Yeah,
well, up to 100,000, right? Or
no, up to 250.
Up to 250. Yeah. Oh, okay. But you can spread that out as different names. You can use a variety of aliases.
Neil Cavuto, I can
exactly.
Yeah. Well, if this is really all that serious, why don't we have legislation? Why don't we have government mandating that there be some kind of expenditure to prevent this? I mean, surely if we can supposedly put a man on the moon,
I don't know. I agree with that. It seems normal, but when I talk to these folks, they say every mousetrap you build, they've got a smarter route. A rat to go around it, and it keeps happening. I really think
Neil, that's spot on.
They can't deal with it.
That's spot on. As a matter of fact, what they're learning is you can't stop it. What you need is a plan for when it happens. Just so you understand. You're right, Neil. That's where this is moving.
Compliment me. Go ahead, Adam.
I would just say you need less compliance officers implementing the Volcker rule.
And you're changing the subject of one of your specialties.
And more computer programmers trying to stop the hackers.
Everything is about big government with you. You're a hater. You're just